Welcome, everybody, to the Blood and Mud podcast. Hello. The podcast that's been transferred to a new gas provider this week.
Oh.
I've been only because I've been one of the ones where it's gone bust.
Oh well.
I was on brand, right? I was with the People's Energy Company.
I've seen the adverts for them several times, and I've been tempted to switch, but I
was only with them because I'm with that look after my bills shit.
Oh
where
yeah,
they just tell you every now and again they go, I'm moving you to the right when you go, fine, whatever. Yeah. So guess what they moved me to now? British Gas. Can you imagine what I've got coming my way? A fucking bazooka of increased direct debits asks is what's coming my way.
Yeah, I think I'm with Empower, and they haven't done anything particularly bad to me yet, but I'm just waiting,
I've been on these shitty tin pot ones, as Ben Russell points out. I've been with the equivalent of the East Blood and Mud Gas and Oil Company, whatever you want to call it, for the past couple of years. None of them do smart meters. I've still been having to fucking unlock my gas box outside and everything. At least with British Gas, it'll all be smart metered up.
I was going to say, I have got a smart meter now, and to be fair, I mean, it feels like a bit of a fucking robot snitch. Does, it's like, fuck you telling British Gas I'm using too much fucking gas today.
Well, I had a smart meter put in when I was with First Utility, and then I moved on to all these tin pot providers that didn't have the functionality.
Oh, no, we don't do that.
So there you go. Right, so
yes.
Well, speaking of things not working,
I was going to say, at least we're fucking here, mate.
Yeah, I imagine we're going to have millions of people here today, because what else are you going to be doing?
Yeah, it's not like you're going on fucking WhatsApp or scrolling mindlessly through Instagram or getting into arguments with your relatives about politics on Facebook tonight. Yes. God, no.
Can't have a row with your racist cousin tonight, can you? So it's the...
You can definitely... You can still have a row with a racist on Twitter, though. So, that option is open. And there's loads of them on there. So you will be spoilt for choice.
So we're... we're only on. Normally, we're on the live stream. Hello, those of you can see us. Hello. We're also on the podcast. For those of you who haven't bothered watching, because we've got no Facebook, we're only on YouTube this week. And I thought, as a special treat, I'm doing inverted commas, treat.
Yeah,
we leave it open for everyone to have a look, not just patrons, in case you want to get involved in it. Especially maybe because Josh, your backdrop is looking wonderful. It's the new.
I mean, I've gradually been kind of chipping away at my new background. When we first came in a couple of weeks ago, it was just there. Then it was blue, and now it's got some guitars and a poster of a gig that never happened in 1953 and Back to the Future or 1955, I should say, slightly above my head.
This side here, which is the more ramshackle shelving. And look at those terrible lamps that have been here since we moved in. They've got to go. You can't see it from here, but the middle of that is like a goat of Mendes brass thing.
Oh, nice.
Like the devil himself on the wall. So, that's coming down. So that's where my guitars are going to go. So it'll be all guitars all the time in the backdrop.
People will just, never let it be said that we're nothing if not extremely predictable and on brand.
Exactly. So, good luck. Everyone in now the Facebook rapture has arrived and the end is nigh. Oh, Harley Worthy asks a very good important question. Big light or lamp in the room presently?
Always big light in here because I haven't got a very good lamp in here yet. And also I feel like it could get a bit Leslie Grantham with if you just have a sort of little lamp off to the side, there's a bit too much uplighting going on there, Well, you've got to be downlit if possible.
Well, you say that. I'm in front of the screen now, but I'll do this now because I probably can. It's lamp, everybody.
Oh, hello.
In this room, it's lamp. There we go.
I did wonder if people, people just sitting at home, tenterhooks, just waiting for the reveal. Did I give it away too easy? Is what I'm saying.
I think you might. I don't know. Well,
I just sort of went straight in there, didn't I? Yeah, I basically forgot the terms of my own game, which.
Well, plenty of people go mad with power, Josh. Let's be honest.
Indeed,
create something.
Let's face it.
You go mad with power like Sepp Blatter. Forget the rules,
and it just careens out of your own control.
Yeah. So there you go. Hello, I'm Lee, everybody, and over there is.
Hi, I'm Josh. You know that, don't you?
We're on the live stream, as people know. The people who do tune in will notice, and Anna S has noticed, we're on different sides this week.
Yeah.
And Anna said Josh being on the left of the screen. Normally I log in first, then Josh doesn't. So that's how we get the correct order. I think we can drag each other across and swap them over. We're not going to do that.
We could do. It's just
we'd like to discombobulate you.
Yeah, it's like Ant and Deck being on the wrong side when
yes, it is.
It fucks with people's heads. Yeah, that's the true horror of watching the live stream. You never know which way around we're going to be now.
So we are on Acast, as you know. We're on Apple and all that stuff. If you want to get in touch with us, I'm at Blood and Mud on the Twitter, and you are. No, I'm also at bloodandmud.com. Sorry, let me finish my bit off. What about you, Josh?
And I am at Josh Gardner, or at Rucked_mag, or indeed Josh at rugbyshirtwatch.com. But then you knew that already.
You did know all this already. Those of you, I mean, some of you have just joined on a live stream for the first time might not know that, but anyway, here we are. We are on patreon.com/Blood and Mud. If you want to come along and join in and get yourself some extra stuff, £2 a month for all the extra episodes, the live stream every week, the Facebook group when it's working. I mean, what can we do? I mean, there's no Facebook. We can't even do a WhatsApp group to replace it. We can't do an Instagram.
I mean, we could do a Skype group.
Yeah,
if we could do
my
an
kids
MSN
talk
group.
about their
Can
private snap, group? And it upsets me. It conjures up all kinds of images.
Yeah, but keep that as far from your brain as you humanly can.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so Facebook group, which I'm sure will work again at some point. You can come in there.
Yeah, right now it's there's not a lot going on, but usually it's fucking banging over there. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, very good. Good chats. Everyone keeps it, nice and civil.
Indeed.
Lots of kitten pictures right now.
Yes.
Lots of double kittens right now, which is a wonderful thing.
Might even be some puppy pictures later. Who knows? You never know with the group.
You never know. It's just wonderful. And chit chat. Anyway, so get yourself over there. Orders £5 a month or 50 quid for the year, and you can get yourself in the VIP for names. We thought we'd reached our limit, Josh, but oh no, people never fail to amaze us.
I know. I mean, when you sent me some names earlier, I was just like, "What are these fucking lunatics doing?" But apparently,
we're very thankful. Very thankful. But
we genuinely are.
Yes, it never ceases to amaze us.
It doesn't. I mean, quite literally, doesn't cease to amaze me. But if you want to go first, you've got more than
I will go first. I will go first. Yes. So first of all, we've got Gary Gorge, long-time friend of the pod, to be fair, who once trolled me via Patreon contributions by setting his contribution to the score that that South Africa beat England by in the World Cup final. So I've got a lot of time for Gary, but he's in VIP now. Hello, Gary. He's forgiven me for my absolute disgraceful chitter chat about air crash investigations and the assumptions I was making about it last week, with him being his job. Also found another airline pilot in the Facebook group. It's been the best rugby Facebook group chat I've ever had, because it's been wall-to-wall aircraft shit. It's been wonderful. So if you're into that, pay the money and get yourself.
I tell you what, it has really two things that really fucking set the old Facebook group off, like rarely seen before. Aircraft investigation chat and acceptable shithouse dictators. Fucking hell, there's been a lot of correspondence.
It's almost like people's tuning not for the rugby, but there you go.
Quite.
Anyway, Gary Gorge gets up. Hello, Gary. So prop Gary the Gorge they call him, lives up to his name on 2 counts. One, because he gorges on a full kebab, garlic and chili sauce, no salad.
Standard.
10 minutes before the kickoff of every game. He once got incredibly upset and had to smash up a changing room because they were playing on tour abroad, and they said, just go through your normal routines pre-game, lads. And he got very upset because he couldn't find a kebab. It was a kebab-free country they were in. And he got very, very upset. He's also called the Gorge because he has an absolutely massive gap in his front teeth.
Look, it both works,
What have you got, Josh?
I've got another regular contributor to the pod, James Reese, who's upped his contribution, I believe. James Reese's Pieces, as he's known to his teammates, due to his tendency to reduce his opposition ball carriers to their constituent parts, not because he's a big fan of those horrible peanut butter flavored American candies like E.T. However, also like E.T., he never forgets to phone his mum on the bus home from away games due to a constant fear Well, he's got a constant fear that she'll have moved house while he was out and he'd be orphaned. He's 38.
I mean, I think you should know that your mum moving doesn't make you an orphan. I think he needs to maybe reflect on that a little minute.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, yeah, you could argue that the semantics of the orphan stuff is probably the stage 2. Stage 1 is everything else.
Who have I got next? I've got Patrick Banks, who's joined the VIP. Hello, Patrick. Fullback and place kicker for No Diggity RFC, Patrick Banks, known as Panko.
Yep.
Because he was known as Banco for obvious reasons, right? But this changed to Panko as he has a tendency to crumble in pressure moments.
Hello.
I
was waiting for some breadcrumb chat there, and you didn't leave me disappointed.
My wife, the first time she bought Panko breadcrumbs, I was like, what the fuck's this for? Why have you bought a bag of breadcrumbs when you can just make breadcrumbs with the stale bread we always have knocking around? And then, of course, well, we use them.
You experience what,
and you're like, why have I been wasting my time fucking toasting and blitzing bread like a fucking idiot for all these years? The other thing my wife's discovered is, Korean fried chicken.
Yep.
Shortcut to it, right? Bear with me.
With you.
Get some yogurt and roll the chicken in it. Smash up a load of cornflakes.
Okay. Yes.
And roll it in the cornflake. Oven it for about half an hour. It comes out super crispy because it's cornflakes, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you've got to buy this special Korean chili shit to make this hot chili sauce that you pour on top. Never don't say you don't get tips on here.
We know what your fucking delivery situation is like. You've got to, do the best of your abilities.
Exactly. I'm sorry to. I'm going to break off here because we.
No, we absolutely need to. Here we go.
So, do you want to read that, Josh?
Oh, Harley Worthy says, in relation to the James Reese name, a mate of mine actually came back from scout camp once to find out that his parents had moved.
Right, Harley, don't do it now, but I want a full report on what happened afterwards.
In the DMs, or in the Patreon DMs, or in the we need to know more.
Wonderful. So thank you, Patrick, by the way.
Oh, yes, indeed. Mine next, I believe. And mine is David Widowson, the Widowmaker, as he was obviously nicknamed before any of his teammates had actually even got to see him play. And it's now more of an ironic nickname, really, as despite him being built like a prototypical tight head prop, his abiding and serious claustrophobia makes him entirely unsuited to sticking his head between the heads of two strangers who are trying to make his spine collapse. Still, screaming is very effective at disorientating his opponents, who regularly actually ask for refs to go to uncontested scrums because, honestly, that guy is freaking them the fuck out.
Thank you, David. Finally, this week, we just simply got Mark.
Just like Prince, but much more low rent.
Not his real name.
Yeah.
His actual real name is Blaine Inkelfudgenacker. But he took on the single moniker. Well, it was given to him after his teammates, because his Tourette's just causes him to shout Mark all the time while he's playing. Even during like opposition kicks at goal and everything.
Oh,
so there's
God,
a hush. Yeah. And they're about to start running, and he goes, Mark! But they can't have a go at him because he can't help it.
I mean, if nothing else, it's going to be really useful when he is calling a mark.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah. He can't never not. Or sometimes though, the counter-attack's on and he calls the mark.
And he'll just call the mark.
Get a bit fed up, but they can't be too pissed off with him because he can't help it.
He can't help it. It's not his fault.
Thank you very much, everybody who submits to the VIP. Indeed, amazingly, we still keep pulling these bios out of our arse, and I'll be honest, they stink like they come out of our arse now.
Some of them are awful, but
that's what you're paying for. Don't say we haven't warned you.
Absolutely.
Shall we begin as we always begin, Josh?
I think we better add.
With a spotting of a player.
Otherwise, what else are we going to do?
Well, recent new VIP mitherer, David the Widowmaker Widowson, screams into the void. Well, actually, doesn't he? Sends it on the Patreon messages. He says this: He says, about 4 years ago, I was sitting with my daughter in a cafe in France outside one of their walled towns. You have to narrow it down more, wouldn't you? But
I mean, there's a shitload of them. But they're all lovely, to be fair.
I've been to Montreux-sur-Mer, which is walled as fuck. And it's no longer sur mer. It's all silted up. It's like about 2 miles inland now. A bit of Les Mis was set there. Anyway, he says, I was enjoying a coffee, or it may have been a beer, when two athletes ran across the boule piste. I don't know what that is. Boule is a game, isn't it?
Probably.
He says, the first one leant on a tree talking loudly to a lady sitting a few tables away and peeled off his spangly vest, but kept his spangly trainers on. It was none other than the Hask. I said to my daughter, who was texting her appalling boyfriend, I said, look, it's James Haskell. She looked up and said, twat, then went back to texting.
Perfect.
I think that must have been a Pavlovian response, says David. Learned from years of watching rugby with me, as otherwise I would not have expected to use such vile language. The Hask and his mate, who I didn't recognise, stood there talking loudly for 10 minutes, then put a spangly vest back on and ran off again. 4 years ago in France, running about in a spangly vest. What would have been that for? That was well after his racing days.
But honestly, like, what are you doing? Just taking your vest off to talk to a woman. For God's
talking loudly at women. Well, David, I don't know how things. 4 years is a long time, so I don't know if the daughter's still with the appalling boyfriend. But let us know how it went.
Yeah. I hope that situation has resolved itself to your satisfaction.
Speaking of daughters, mine's 18 next year, and I was a bit late getting here because I've had to go to a local hotel because it's where she wants her 18th birthday party in a function room. So we go in there. They go, right, how many people? Yada. Food you want? Blah, 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 blah. So DJ, yes. Decoration, yeah. Do you want a flower wall? I said, what's that? Which apparently is a wall of flowers you have your photos taken in front of. You have to have a dedicated photo point now.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. She then adds up, and she gets a calculator out, the woman. She goes, 1,800 quid. I said, what have you just? I said, what have you just put into that calculator?
What are those flowers made of?
What calculator? So, well, how much is the DJ? Yeah, and how much is? Well, on, where's 180 quid that you're not accounted for? Dorman. The council won't let them have 18th birthday parties in the venue without Dorman, which we have to pay for.
Amazing. I mean,
tell you what,
you could have just been like, "Don't worry, I'll probably break out my old Dorman's card from back in my student days."
Exactly, I could deal with these 18-year-old pricks. But so but honestly, those of you with kids who are quite young, what you find is it's kind of. I'll give you a tip here. Right? It's a sandwich. Years 0 to 4 costs you a fucking fortune because you've got to put them in nursery, which is like having another house.
Yeah.
Then they go to school and it's okay. You're going to pay for after school club. And I mean, the shoes are expensive, but that's fine. They're in bed every night. It's all fine. Then you get to this age, it's driving lessons, only branded clothing, £1,800 parties. Do you know what I mean? They eat more than 3 horses. It's just ridiculous. Honestly, it's a good job you love them.
I mean, you can almost say that, like, you know, they're kind of lulling you into a very false sense of security in that sort of 13 or 14 years in between, where you've got 14 years to get over the initial shock of how much they've costed you, and then you have to and then you got university as well, I suppose, which is another.
Yep, 7 to 4. Well, she wants to be a nurse, so she'll get a fees paid for that. So that's something.
Yeah.
But but 7 to 14 is the dream. They can get up and operate without being in constant danger like they are, like under 4. They can't. You've screamed at them enough that they actually behave themselves by then, and they're in bed every night. You know exactly where they are. You know, you can tell them who they are and are not allowed to see. All that stuff. You get to decide what parties happen. Oh, I'll tell you what, I hate
whose birthday party you aren't going to.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're not
going to that party. His mum's a twat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and all that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Still,
not like me, as you know. But, so anyway, that's a play spotted. Thank you very much. Indeed. 1, David, for coming into the VIP, and 2, for sending us a player spotted. Anybody else who's got any player spotteds out there, you can send them to lee@bloodandmud.com, or the DMs are open, or the Patreon messaging service. Spare no mundane detail If it
Absolutely
involves swearing at James Haskell, all the better.
I mean, how could you not? Like, I know he's a very large man, and you probably wouldn't want to annoy him too much, but like you say, it's Pavlovian. You're just going to look at that guy and just think, prick.
I've told the story before. My wife is not a huge fan of rugby. She'll watch it. She knows I like it. But if it's on the telly, I turn it on once. Inverdale was on for 3 seconds. She went, "Who is this cunt?" 3 seconds. Honestly. Same with Haskell.
That is roughly
not just
the
me.
time it takes, for somebody to make a snap judgment about John Inverdale's personality and character. Completely agree.
But yeah, I've had a Facebook thing, a WhatsApp thing pop up. I thought it might have been fixed. It just simply says some message is not sent. Yeah, it's been the same since 4:45. I know that. Don't know why you're telling me again now.
We could just steam into Facebook as it comes back online. We could be the first thing back on Facebook. Is us.
I mean, can't even set it up. Just a big banner saying, no, you can't do Facebook. Right. So thank you very much, everyone, for everything. So thank you. I suppose we better do some news. It's we're rattling through this week. We have got a Your So Club coming up. I think I can't remember if I mentioned that last week and then didn't do it, but we ran out of time.
Yeah, you did, because we just fucking went on. So
yeah. Promise not to go on this week, and we'll do it. So news. You want to start? Is there any news we got?
Samoan Rugby Union has kind of said that they aren't, but kind of are pulling out of their autumn commitments. They were supposed to be playing Spain, Georgia, and the Barbarians. They've now said they're not playing Georgia or Spain, but they are trying to sort of pull together enough people who are based in Europe and elsewhere to fulfill the Barbarians fixture, which is basically because this is fucking mental, right? If you test positive for coronavirus, Samoa will not let you in for 6 months. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what you did, as long as you know.
I mean, go on.
It's a lot.
You've got to remember their history, though, lest we forget. Remember how Flu got there?
Yeah.
They were happily living without Flu until New Zealand sent a fucking ship full of it without so much as a buy you leave and breaking loads of rules because they're arseholes. So you can see why they may be a little bit toey about it.
I completely understand why they're a bit funny about it, but it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course, like, surely somebody could have seen this coming. That nobody used, as it is, only about sort of 5 or 6 of Samoa's squad usually are actually based in Samoa, so it should be fine. I think they probably would have had a lot more, and they're also not doing the Dubai Sevens this year either, so I think those things will be more affected, and they probably would have played a lot less of the big name lads. I mean, I'm sure they play lots of big lads, otherwise it's very silly. Against Spain and Georgia, you can imagine certainly against Spain they would have probably played a much less strong team than they would against the Barbarians. But so TBD, I guess, whether the Barbarians will have to find somebody else to play in November. It's been going well for them in COVID times, this whole Barbarians thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there's any concept in sort of sport that is more unsuitable to pandemic times, it is the Barbarians. Because it's like, let's get a bunch of people from a load of different environments and stick them together in an environment where they mainly get pissed for a fortnight, and then we'll send them off again.
Isn't Quade Cooper going to the Barbarians?
Cooper's in the Barbars team. Quite a lot of big lads, big names in there. I think quite physically big lads as well. I think the entire bomb squad is in for this time, which will be fun. But again, TBD, who knows? So Kitchoff and Malherbe have joined your man Malcolm Marks today in Antoine Vermeulen. So it's like, just a lot of big lads in that pack. And then Quade Cooper just running around behind them. I'm into it. Do you know who the president of the Barbarian FC now is, though?
Is it John Spencer?
It's John Spencer.
Yes.
He says the Barbarians are building a hugely exciting squad for the Killick Cup. Fucking Killick Cup again.
Stephen Kitsoff has joined.
Yeah, Franz Malherbe, Malcolm Marx. I can't whistle like that for some reason. Yeah. So Saturday, 27th of November is not very far away for them to have no idea who they're playing. But
well, the first weekend of the Autumn Internationals is it's 3 weeks on Saturday, isn't it?
It's a lot sooner than most teams in the Northern Hemisphere would like it to be, given the fucking current state of their injury situations, I would imagine. But yeah, it's going to happen very soon. So, and also, speaking of this, in other news, South Africa have also said they ain't coming if they have to be in a bubble again, which I get it. The Boks have been in a bubble of some kind since before the Georgia game, which was back when I still had hope in and sort of some semblance of optimism about the soul of rugby union. That's how long ago that was. And yeah, okay.
Before this
July.
podcast started. Okay,
it was July. But yeah, they had their families in the bubble with them for the Lions too, so that would have been nice. But then they've been right back under very strict rules in Australia for the Rugby Championship, and it genuinely is a testament to their professionalism and their team spirit that they've kept performing right until the very end, because they must be fucking sick of going from a training pitch to a fucking hotel room every day and not even being able to go out for coffee. Look what happened to Argentina. They had 1 week left of this and they just all went fucking mental and thought, we're going to go to the beach, lads. I can't handle this anymore.
And the thing is, I mean, there's a lot of player welfare chit chat, isn't there, about concussion and how much you play. And actually, that for me is a significant.
This is another
significant player welfare
mental fucking welfare is.
Yeah.
And Mark Alexander, the SA Rugby president, says that another strict bio bubble is out of the question. It will break the players. And yeah, he's probably fucking right. And the problem is, of course, that they are on the red list still. So, yeah.
My sister-in-law's from Cape Town, and my brother-in-law and her are supposed to go to South Africa for Christmas. So they've got no idea that's actually going to be coming off.
No. And yeah, it looks like there's no chance of the UK pulling South Africa off the red list. So the only solution seems to be to try and bribe Jersey into doing it again, I guess. Do the South African lads fancy 2 weeks on Jersey, kind of wandering around and training at world-class facilities, but maybe having to go because, I can't see any. There's no way they're going to be off the red list. The depressing levels of vaccination rates by pro athletes in the UK at the moment means that there's no way that everybody else isn't going to be in a pretty hefty bio bubble. So
let's just tell you what, let's give them the autumn off, because quite frankly, they've been through some shit these past few months. As much as you hate them and like winding them up, I mean, as players, it's been a tough old time.
On a purely human level.
Yeah. But we could just replicate playing them by making Sale play everyone. Just do that instead.
Exactly. There's almost as many Springboks in the Sale squads as there is in the actual Springbok squad. So it's broadly the same.
Yeah, lots of chat in the comments about some people have just made the decision, a bit like Ben Youngs did for the Lions, didn't he? So I'm just not doing it. I'm not willing to put myself through that. Thanks very much.
No. And I do not blame anybody for going, I'm fucking sick of this. I just want to go home. Yeah. I've got tickets for the Australia game. I know lots of people have bought tickets for all the other games over this autumn because we want to go and watch rugby again. But if South Africa decide they don't fancy it because they've been in there for 18 weeks, then you know what, lads, fucking crack on.
Well, okay, so that's that bit of news. Well, there was a couple of bits of news there, wasn't there? Kind of blended into each other.
Kind of a two-headed news monster.
What else we got here? Saracens are being taken over.
Yes.
By a consortium led by Francois Pinaz, he loves this club. He's forever around.
What is it with South Africa and Saracens? Because they were, previously there was a South African consortium involved in Saracens and then they fucked off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, if nothing else, it's sort of.
I mean, if anything, they built all the Android labs, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They were the kind of
sort of.
they were the beginning of it.
They've just come to see how they're going.
They were the event horizon that sucked everything into this black hole.
Yeah, the leader of the consortium is a bloke called Dominic Sylvester, who sounds like a Bond villain.
I was going to say that's got dodgy offshore interests written all over it. That name.
Who's the chief of the N-Star Group, which again sounds like a company that a Bond villain would
amazing.
run.
That claims to be.
It claims to be an insurance company.
Program.
Yeah, it claims to be an insurance company, but they're actually, breeding genetically engineered superhumans. I mean, it would scan, wouldn't it?
I'm afraid I can't talk about that client's secret illegal account.
Yeah, it does mean the end of Nigel Ray having a stake in. He's
got a minority,
a significant
minority stakeholder,
and Lucy Ray will remain as chief executive.
Is that his daughter?
So we haven't seen, So we haven't seen the last of Nigel Ray's involvement in Saracens. I feel also, if like the last time the South Africans this consortium gets bored of not getting a return on investment in rugby union, which I could assume is what everyone who tries to invest in rugby union to make a profit ultimately comes out thinking. I'm sure he'll buy him back. He did last time, so
it's got a very strong meet the new boss, same as the old boss. About this, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh God, I've just googled Dominic Sylvester, and Jesus, he looks like a fucking Bond villain. Like, I don't wish to sort of cast aspersions on somebody, but like, if there's anybody that you just looked at and thought, this bloke is fucking Bond villainy, bear with me. I'm going to bring it up onto the chat as we speak. Tell me this man is not evil.
Oh my God.
I mean, for fuck's sake.
He looks like an even more grim version of Lex Luthor.
Exactly. He's Lex Luthor, but with a sort of.
We can both look scared peeping over his shoulder on this layout.
Yeah. He looks like both the evil genius. Oh, I've done the wrong way. Fuck's sake.
I know he's walking.
It's like he's like the evil villain, but with a hint. Yeah, this is really great radio. Where we're just making faces around the side of a silly photo, but he's a little bit. He's like henchman and main villain rolled into one. Like he's got the cold eyes of a killer, and then a sort of.
He's got that head doorman vibe. He runs the whole company. he's a bit too old to be on the door full time, but he'll still fuck you up. And he's still the hardest bloke in the company.
And he was definitely dealing cocaine in Liverpool in the 90s.
He actually won the door. Yeah. He won all.
He was the winner of the door.
That's where he got his money from. Dominic Sylvester's transition from Liverpool Narcos to owning Saracens. It's a very natural path. Oldest story in the world. Right, so that's Saracen. So things rumble on, I guess. As they always have done.
I don't foresee this doing anything to unsettle Saracens' kind of.
A club statement said the investment will be used for a number of improvements in the club, including redeveloping the West Stand to decrease the seating. I'm guessing, investing in women's sport fair dues, high performance training centre. Fucking hell, have they not been at high performance already? Have they been training in a medium performance training centre?
They're currently in their low performance training centre just to give everyone else a chance,
Apparently, like breaking news, Ben Russell says Twitter is dying now.
Oh my God.
Is this how the world ends? We all thought there'd be like some firebolt from the sky, but it's not. We just turn off social media and everyone's going to start cracking each other's skulls open and feasting on the goo inside.
What did you do on your last night on Earth? Well, I did a live stream podcast where we pretend to talk about rugby, but really we just talk about any old shit.
And I just kept pulling down to refresh my phone. Anyway, Nigel Ray says, I'm thrilled to hand over the control to the consortium. You lying bastard. You're not thrilled about anything.
He's thrilled about the 30 million quid in his account. But
I think he's beyond money now. He's not thrilled about any of this.
That's true, yeah.
There's not, what's he going to do? Buy some more oak desks?
He's going to start some more property firms with this.
Some brasso for the knobs on his doors. I don't know. What's he going to do?
He's going to invest in some more small businesses. That's his real passion, investing in little startups that little property development companies that just need somebody to take a chance on them.
He just loves business. He's just simple. He's going to be walking down the streets of North London, simply just giving money to people,
asking them if they like rugby, and if they say yes, say go and start a business with 500 quid.
It'd be like the state senator in The Wire.
Exactly
I'm sorry
like that,
I didn't ask for a receipt. And if I asked me, I'd go out tomorrow and do it again, tomorrow and the day after and the day after. It's probably what he said, but with a slightly different accent.
Probably a slightly more polished accent.
As Rian Lowe says, that bloke looks like he developed Exeter's office park. Yeah.
Come on, Exeter's office park doesn't exist.
Right, so that's Saracens. Any more news from you?
The Australian Rugby Union's going to take ownership of all the Super Rugby teams, which seems like a sense. We're on the quiet, right?
That's going to feed very strongly into the Welsh Valleys idiot fan mentality, though, is it? You see?
Yeah, and I mean, I get it, but it's like on the quiet. Australia have kind of been doing everything quite cleverly over the last 12 months. I'm worried. I'm worried that combined with their on-pitch performance, if they can get their fucking domestic structure sorted out, Australia might be good at rugby again.
The fact is, Australia just whatever happens, right? They're just a hoot to watch at the minute.
They are so much fun.
An absolute hoot. Why would you not want that? I don't know. People can say, I've got no time for people who say like South Africa are playing negative, hateful rugby and it shouldn't be allowed or something. Because rugby's a broad church and there's many ways to skin it. But that doesn't excuse the fact that at the end of the day, Australia are a fucking hoot, and that's really what you want to be watching.
But I worry that Australia might become, at the moment, they're fun because they are occasionally brilliant, but also occasionally completely ramshackle and stupid. And I like them like that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to become like competent with it, because then it won't be fun anymore. Then they're
don't want the early
2000s
feeling. You don't want that vibe. You don't want the 99 to 2003 Australia vibe.
No, you really don't. Nobody enjoyed that because we all know they're absolutely terrible winners to a man. So the last thing you want them to be like genuinely, properly challenged the All Blacks in the box. Good. Ugh. Turns your stomach.
Richard Laird said he's gutted that he's watching this tonight. Who will I listen to when I'm powerhousing the drive tomorrow? Richard, a few people say this, that they've wasted the pod because they've watched us when they were going to such a place on Wednesday and needed us for the drive. And all I can assume is we're just magnetic. The minute you start watching, you can't turn this off. It simply won't quit. So
no.
Yeah. Any more news?
Semi Radrandra's out for 4 months because he injured his knee at the Olympics and requires surgery. The Olympics was, right, ages ago. How have they only worked this out now? Did the Fiji medical
been on the
team...
piss?
Well, yeah, he's basically been on holiday for like 6 weeks. So they just not diagnose. They just not tell Bristol. And then he was like, "Oh, by the way, my knee's fucked. We're probably gonna have to have a look at that."
On his Instagram holiday.
Thank you very much.
Don't take any photos of the waist. Keep me waist down out of the photo.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't see that I'm limping heavily.
Yeah.
That's Borthwick 24 makes a good point that in Ray, Australia, they're even relaxing Gitto's law so they can bring people like fucking Will Skelton back into the... That screams competency to me, and I do not fucking like it one bit.
Yeah, I mean, it won't last long because they're never far away from wanting to lock people out of the country, are they?
Total fucking implosions, They love infighting even more, like almost as much as the Welsh, and it's only a matter of time. But, we'll see.
Speaking of injuries, Arthur Vincent... Arthur Vincent is injured and he's out for 8 months.
Oh, poor bugger.
Yeah, so he's going to miss the Six Nations. And what else?
I mean, that's about it, really.
Yeah, George Ford won't cough up what Eddie Jones said to him when he told him he was dropped.
Yeah, which I imagine it wasn't that complex. It was probably like, and we're going to have a look at some other guys. You're still within our thought, you're still going to be part of the EPS. Don't worry about it.
We found another person that people think are too small. So
Yep.
I can only have one at a time in the squad. I'm sorry, George. That's just the way it is.
Frankly, I've got to find a place for Owen somewhere.
I like doing. Yeah, there's no. Obviously, I'm not dropping Owen.
Yeah,
You know,
why would I do that? Yeah, he just hasn't played any good rugby.
Well, he only moved in with me
18
last
months.
week. I can't drop him. So,
and Richard'd be all right, fucking terror, if I dropped him, because it will reduce the chippy northernness to a far too high a degree for him.
Exactly. So yeah, so there you go. So that's the news. I think there's nothing else.
No, I think we're good.
Okie doke. Then shall we? Shall we? Well. I suppose we're on to the weekend already after 40 minutes. Good Lord, we might actually get out of here before the morning. So at this point, then we say goodbye to the listeners who are not patrons, and off you go because we're going behind the paywall for the lovely people who support us. See you all later. Bye. And everyone else gets to stay, but of course, anybody who's on a live stream tonight gets to see the whole thing because it's out in public.
This would be the point. This would be the point where we call the normal, like the proles, massive cunts. But I feel a bit weird doing it today.
We don't actually do that every week, but we just say how much we love the people who are still here because we do.
Indeed.
And obviously, if you like what you see, then chuck a bit of money in the pot.
Exactly.
So the weekend, then.
Yes.
A genuinely outstanding game of rugby.
Well. Yeah, I hope.
Leinster versus Dragons.
Yeah. What a fucking game.
Woo! Yeah.
I don't know what was funnier, that it was 7-6. Leinster won 7-6, or the Dragons lost 7-6. Because both are funny.
I know what you mean there, yeah. It's hard to know where to look at this.
It's like literally nobody was happy at the end of that game. The Dragons are pissed off because they really fucking should. If you're going to lose by a point at home to Leinster, you should have the fucking... And all it would have taken would be one kick and goal over 40 minutes. You should get there. And equally, Leinster can say, how the fuck did we only score 7 points? The Dragons were out 13 men at one point. And somehow, Leinster, who, as we all know, are Leinster, somehow didn't manage to score more than one try. It's very silly.
Yes.
Definitely the silliest game of the season so far.
Leinster who smoked the South African team the week before.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Dragons are, decent of pack and decent of squad now. A lot more decent than they used to be.
Let's say it like it is. They're no longer an embarrassment. Which is
they're now on the road to being respectable. Still got embarrassed by an Ospreys pack that didn't have any of its Lions in it last week. And yeah, somehow Leinster with fucking most of the big lads there. It was just such a weird game. Such a strange, just a game that people will look back at this season. And they will be scrolling through the results and they'll go, hang on. 7-6. How is that a score that happens in rugby union? But apparently it is.
They're one of the ones you'd have to write the score as a word because it was too confusing for people, like in the football when it's like 10, 10.
10.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of South African teams, they are. What I've learned from the weekend is that they are both shit and good at rugby at the same time, at the opposite end of the spectrum, depending on whether you're watching a Saturday morning game or a game played Saturday afternoon. Basically.
Yeah, Irk-wise, I guess, they're missing most of their best players at the moment. But how many Lions are on the pitch for the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh teams at the moment? The only one I think actually got back is Adam Beard, and he's only been a substitute twice. They just look like that's fucking nonsense that Jake White said about Connacht before their game on Saturday, where he was just like, "Oh, we know what Connacht are. They're just all the players that don't make it at Munster and Leinster. It's no different to with the Cheetahs and the Kings or whatever. We got plenty of their sort of team in South Africa, and then they got fucking smoked. 34/7.
Yeah, I mean that properly like a fucking insurance job, wasn't it? That wasn't like a kind of I suppose new environment, tough conditions, but fucking hell.
I think there was an expectation with the sort of the big boy South African teams coming into the IRC, because let's not beat around the bush in terms of like players per head. Like South Africa probably produces more fucking professional standard rugby players than anywhere bar New Zealand, really, and it's
How many
probably
of them are
quite a
still
close run
there,
thing.
though?
This is the thing. People think about that and they go, "Oh, South Africa, there's fucking loads of rugby players there. They must be really fucking good." There are more Springboks in sales team every week than in a full strength Bulls team or a full strength Stormers team. The talent drain that has gone on in that country and player drain, is a big part of why South African teams have been solidly second best in Super Rugby for a while now. And the odd blip aside haven't really been. Hagara has won the South African Conference the last time we had a full season of Super Rugby, which sounds silly. The silly team from Argentina won the South African Conference.
They're
not even from
didn't
there.
Even train.
They don't even go there.
Giving it a lash for an hour and then go in the pub.
Because they're all so jet lagged, they can't face anything else. And I do think, they look a bit undercoached at the moment, to be blunt, particularly compared to the Irish teams. And I think we will see a bit more of a level of where they're at when they start playing the non-Irish teams. But, Glasgow and Scarlets took pretty good care of their particular charges this weekend as well. So I think it's going to take time. Both it will take time to hopefully more money flow back into the South African domestic game and therefore allow them to lose fewer players to, Sale and Montpellier. But also, it's a new league. It's a totally new, it's a new fucking refereeing interpretations for them as well. Like you get the sense that they are used to Super Rugby, Southern Hemisphere, anything goes, lads, breakdown interpretations. And the Northern Hemisphere is new like that. Ardie Surveyor was getting hot under the collar about how Matthew Carley was refereeing the breakdown at the weekend. And it's like, no, mate, he's just actually enforcing it. Whereas you're used to just a fucking free-for-all. And I think that will be, give him a couple of months, it'll be fine. But yeah, for the moment, it isn't looking great, is it? In terms of adding value to the league.
This is interesting. Rian Lowe, again, judging by your name, Rian, you probably have a bit more knowledge about this than any of us. And he says no fans expecting much this season. He's also followed on with most SA fans knew this would happen. Teams have been playing each other in Mickey Mouse comps for months. There's no intensity. I suppose you can't speak, Rian, but if you could let us know, is that going to affect interest? Are South African fans actually interested because of everything you've just said? I'll let you like something in a minute, but
you do think that, how much a lot of things, a lot of how they're perceived at the end of the season will probably be determined by these South African tours that the Northern clubs are going to have to take, because going down and playing the fucking the South African teams in South Africa on the High Veld or whatever is going to be a different fucking proposition from them having to negotiate fucking Galway or Llanelli in mid-October when it's fucking lashing it down. It's too easy to kind of too early rather to sort of make sweeping judgments. But I think it was hyped, certainly in the Northern Hemisphere. It was hyped that, this is the big shit now. Like, forget about your Cheetahs and your Kings, who are always the shit ones anyway. This is the fucking big boys. And I think perhaps that's not really been reflective of where the South African Super Rugby teams actually were and are in reality. So it's from a Northern Hemisphere perspective, it feels a bit like, oh, really? But perhaps it was always going to be that way. And we bought into the fucking hype that they delivered us with the Rainbow Cup and then with the IRC.
Maybe this is the answer. Rainbow Cup forever. Mad results. Rian's come back and said that while the box play, fans aren't really interested. But seeing R.G. Snyman back in SA will draw crowds, for example. So, yeah.
So somehow we need to get Sale into the IRC, is what you're telling me.
And Dwayne Vermeulen, of course, will be heading back down there, won't he, at some point?
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, so that's a kind of delve into the things aren't going that well for South African teams. I mean, I said on the preview a few weeks ago, it was like, oh, look, it was like really exciting to see these big, huge like names coming and playing against Munster and stuff. And I don't think, and Munster and other Connacht won with more ease than anyone would have expected. Maybe not so much Munster, but certainly Connacht. We have to think this won't last forever. I think there is something about undercooked, no intensity coming in, no box, etc., etc. We'll see.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, the Ospreys are like flogging tickets for their game against the Sharks in a couple of weeks with a picture of Sia Khaleesi. And it's like, there's literally no way on earth that Sia Khaleesi is turning out for the Sharks in Swansea this weekend.
He's not going to Swansea.
No, he's not.
Because he's not fit. No, he's just not going.
No, he'll probably never go to Swansea because, let's be real here. But like,
even though Swansea is like heaven, only bigger, as we found out in the Ladies and Gentlemen.
Indeed, but he's certainly not going to Swansea on Saturday, having just finished, being 18 weeks in a fucking bubble. I think he might want to go home for a bit.
Yes. But speaking of intensity, on the flip side of it, that's why we watch this sport, isn't it? Australia being a hoot.
On the flip side of kind of South Africa obviously joining, sort of aligning hitching its wagons to the Northern Hemisphere, I powerfully hope that South Africa never, ever join the Six Nations, because rugby without that multiple times a year is infinitely the fucking poorer for it. Like, I don't care about time zones and money and anything. They're the biggest. It's the best rivalry in rugby, and it's the biggest rivalry in rugby.
Yeah, when it comes off, everyone else who talks about being a big rivalry just gets shown up as a total pretender.
Yeah, well, all the other rivalries are sort of quite sort of parochial, and they're just like, oh, we don't like them because they're next door. Whereas South Africa and New Zealand is a rivalry built on the fact that broadly, certainly in the last 30 years, they've been the two best teams in the world. And, think about, 1998 in Durban, the Box fucking coming back from 23-5 down to win 24-23. That 2013 game, the 38-27 one at Ellis Park, is one of the best games of rugby ever fucking played. That 36-34 one in Wellington a couple of years ago, where Rassie basically had to win to save his job, or Saturday, frankly, for that matter.
Yes.
Fucking incredible test matches, time after time after time. Like, I sort of said that they were the biggest it was the biggest rivalry in rugby on Twitter, and quite a few people got angry at me going, oh, have you heard about England versus Scotland? Or something like that. And yeah, get fucked. It is.
Did you say no? I've never heard of those teams. What are you
I've heard of those teams, and you're talking shit. Because it doesn't matter how much you dislike the English, because it's always Scottish people who think, or Welsh people who think that Wales England or Wales Scotland is the biggest rivalry in the world. Wales are never the best team, and England are never the two best teams in the world when they're fucking going at it.
It's like England, Germany in the football, isn't it? It's like, yeah, they're really not that arsed.
Yes, they don't really care, because broadly, they've been much better than you.
The Dutch and the Germans. Now you're talking. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They really fucking hate each other.
Yeah. And why would you? I couldn't imagine not seeing that, like, every year. Like, I find the Rugby Championship still lacking as a tournament. It lacks intensity. It lacks quality a lot of the time.
Apart from when it doesn't.
Until it doesn't, exactly. Like, but like, I don't need the Rugby Championship to exist to enjoy Australia. Well, to be honest, Australia and New Zealand is an equally good rivalry, but like, I don't need the Rugby Championship to exist to enjoy the Springboks and the All Blacks playing each other all the time. If you told me that the fucking summer tour schedule was every other year, or every year, either the All Blacks went and played 3 tests in South Africa, or South Africa went and played 3 tests in New Zealand like they used to, I would be fucking... That's box office appointment viewing. Because imagine if there was a third test now.
Oh God, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's what you miss.
Fucking how good would that be?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. Forget the Lions for a minute. That'll be like fuck me.
Two fucking games decided with the last kick of the game, and then you'd have a decider. Oh God, it'd be good. But no,
loads of needles, loads of wonderful play.
Yeah, both teams just fucking doing it. That's the thing. South Africa both proved their critics wrong by playing a bit of rugby in the first half and keeping it in the hands and doing very sexy things with cat flap offloads, etc. But then also just showed that, you know what, their thing of fucking booting it really long and causing absolute havoc can hurt the All Blacks just as well as it hurts the Lions or anybody else.
Lekanyu, Greenwood referred to as the most improved player in world rugby. I was like, what timeline are you working on from when he was born?
Yeah. I mean, it's like he's been very good for quite a while now.
He was instrumental in the tries that won the World Cup 2 years ago.
Small matter of winning a World Cup 2 years ago, but yeah, he's got way better. Just because he'd done an offload. That's the fucking stupidity of most fucking rugby punditry. He does a cat flap offload, which, to be fair, he's probably doing 7 of those a day on the training pitch.
Yes.
But he's a sensible enough player that he's not trying to do it all the time because that would be stupid. And he saves it for the right moment because he's a fucking good rugby player. He's probably the best outside centre in the world at the moment. And it's just like, oh yeah, he's got so much better, isn't he?
And I think that's a lot of people don't giving him enough credit for, actually, is in fact, when you get to being a top level outside centre in particular, really, all the best outside centres, as well as their physical gifts, is really about, it is all the best ones are the best at making the decisions.
Yeah, that's why Jonathan Davis.
Look at Conrad Smith, man.
Yeah,
his decision making was just fucking ludicrous.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
As well as everything else he had going for him. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis in his pomp never did anything that flashy, but he would always make the right decision.
Once he got past the grubber thing.
Yeah.
Once he made the decision never to grubber kick the ball again, he became the best.
Yeah. And it's the same with Smith. He wouldn't do anything he wasn't Sonny Bill Williams, but you don't have to be. You just fucking make the right pass at the right time, or the right kick at the right time, or just fly out of the line at the right time.
So almost about him as well, to be honest. It is that it's all of those physical gifts with just this it's the reason why all the top players have looked like they've got a bit more time and they can do this stuff in bullet time that we can't even see, isn't it? It's all that stuff. But yeah, wonderful rugby player. And that's the other thing, you can never ever, you talk about people you can never get tired of watching. I can never tire of watching him.
No, same. And while we're talking about players we can never get tired of,
Simon Hammersley.
Some props to some much maligned Springbok fly-offs. All 3 of them, frankly, including the one that's now about 17 stone.
I've said this before, but he looks like he should be in Montana with an automatic rifle, Franz Steyn, telling the federal government to get off his land. Basically.
He does, but he basically came on at fullback and he went, "Oh, is this a good idea?" And then it was like, "Well, yeah, of course it is, because he's just going to stand there and he's going to be literally an immovable field gun, and he's going to 50-22 everything." And then you thought, oh, hang on, they're taking off a winger and they're bringing in Elton Yantis. This is going to be fucking boom or bust. And it was boom. And he was fucking very good. And Andre Pollard, who was having one of those days where he must miss more kicks at goal than any other sort of current fly-off for these off days that he sometimes has. He's got to be him and Bowden Barrett. Because when he fucking gets the yips, he's a fucking state of a player. But instead they just went, you know what? Let Elton do that. And you're big enough to be a 12, so you can just play at 12. And that worked really well as well. It's like fair fucking play to all 3 of them. 3 extremely maligned fly halves. 2 of them playing out of position, and they beat the fucking All Blacks. You got to give it to them.
I just love anybody who beats the All Blacks with a fullback that looks like that. It's just absolutely amazing. Yes, a wonderful game. I didn't see the game after it, I must confess.
No, I was like, well, I've already sat here for 3 hours and it's not going to get any better than that. So
I've sat here for 3 hours. I've wound up South Africans on Twitter. I'm done.
and my job is done. Yeah. One thing I will say about this game, though, away from the effusiveness of our praise of it, Jacques Nienaber is not apologising about the right thing. You know, he said after the game on Saturday, "Oh yeah, I told the water boy to go and have a pop at the touch judge because we thought we had a 50-22, but we didn't. So sorry, that's my bad." It's like, no, no. You shouldn't be apologising because you told your fucking water boy to go and harangue a fucking official because you thought that they got something wrong that they got right. He was right in the end. You should be apologising for fucking getting a fucking water boy to go and harass a fucking touch judge. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
what is it about them deploying weapons on the touchline?
Well, this is the thing. Like when we were calling for Razzie to fucking get the book thrown in him a few months ago, you know, South Africa seemed to be dead set on destroying the norms regarding how we treat officials in this sport, and it's breeding a culture of sort of defiance, disrespect, and fucking intimidation. Is what that is. Fucking getting a water boy to scream in a fucking linesman's face. That's not cool. And like we all know, like they, you know, the South Africa say sort of, you know, we just want to change the way the game is refereed, and we want to change the way that referees are held accountable, etc., etc. We want, you know, rugby to be less sort of, you know, bound by all this worries about kind of respect and everything, to not challenge the people who are bad at their jobs. And fair enough, but like, don't get a fucking water boy to do it then. Don't get some minor functionary or get a fucking medic to be the person that goes on and fucking. If like,
yeah.
if
you
if
run
this
down
is
to
what
the
rugby,
touchline and take your ban.
Well, exactly. If this is what rugby's elite coaches, and you know, they claim that they are speaking out for sort of the silent majority of rugby coaches that think that referees need to be fucking dragged over the coals a bit more. Like, if you want the ability to criticize refs in real time and harangue officials and generally fucking debase the values of the sport, that's fine, but stop using your fucking patsies to do it. Like, get down on the fucking touchline, take that earpiece out, and start screaming at people on the touchline and see what people think of you then.
Take a placard with you and sit down. Non-violent direct action.
Well, I don't want to be that guy, but, you know, like, football managers regularly get fucking sent to the stands because when they're fucking losing their rag at a referee or a fourth official or a linesman, the referee will turn around and tell them to fucking get off. In rugby, it never happens because basically they're using a fucking fall guy who
a proxy.
Who they can just replace with another water boy because, you know, it's instead of hiding behind lower ranked staff to do your shithousing, at least have the fucking bollocks to do your shithousing to their faces. Done.
Good point. What else we got from the weekend? The Premiership table is upside down. And I don't know, and it makes me feel uncomfortable.
I mean, I tell you what, the Death Star is fully operational, but the Borg would like you to know that resistance is still futile because that's what the 2021-22 Premiership is turning into. Saracens, very much still the evil Galactic Empire. We can see that now. Everything they've shown so far this season, they're going to be involved come final time. And Leicester, man, don't know when they're beaten now. They are the Borg. They're relentless. They'll just, even when they're shit, they'll, you know, they can even turn over Saracens when they're playing shit.
What
have we wrought? What have we created? They spent so long thinking about whether they could do it. They didn't think whether they should do it.
Quiet word for Northampton Saints, by the way. 100% start of the season.
A much worse team than their records. What's the a much worse team than their record suggests? You know, they've absolutely fucking rolled the dice, especially against Irish on the weekend. It was like
they're like some horror film, like The Thing, where like they've accidentally thawed it out after like 2,000 years, and now it's back. But it's not really very scary. It's more amusing.
Yeah,
but it's still a decent watch.
You don't want it to get too close to you because then it could give you a right nip. But like. As long as you can sort of appreciate it from a distance, it's fine.
But yeah, so as you look at it, just for people who don't know, it's Leicester on top, played 3-1-3, and with a couple of bonuses. Northampton played 3-1-3, one less bonus point. Harlequins in third, showing you can just keep being mad and that'll still work. Newcastle Falcons are in fourth, played 3-1-2.
That'll never fucking last.
Worcester fifth, Sailor in sixth. I'm glad to see something is still normal in this world.
Sailor in sixth and still thick as fuck. Which let's not
even be despite the fact.
Yeah.
I know we keep going on about this. But if you've built a mind gym, a gym for the mind, how can you still be as thick as fuck as this?
Maybe they've spent too much time in the mind gym. You know, they've overtrained the mind.
Yeah, maybe they just see like Sudoku or something in front of them all the time and they can't concentrate. Wasps in seventh, which is where we absolutely expected them to be.
Yep.
They'll probably stay there. Gloucester in eighth, probably doing better than we thought.
Yep.
This is when, and then you get properly into the upside down. Saracens in ninth, but that's not going to stay that way.
No.
Exeter in 10th. London Irish still exist. And Bristol and Bath.
Yeah, Exeter are more concerned with owning the Libs than playing good rugby at the moment. So, I mean...
They love the NHS, though. It's very important you understand that.
Absolutely. Bristol are a proper bin fire now, especially now that we know they're not going to get Semi back for like 4 months.
Harley Worthy says Sale need a fitness gym because they were blowing after 30 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, spend more time in the actual gym.
Go and tell Alex. Get out the bloody mind gym for Christ. Fitness gym.
Gym for the legs. That's so much. Incredible life.
A gym for everything that isn't your mind. Yeah.
Thing is, though, they've just been doing too much human flagging, aren't they? You know, that looks knackering. I Googled that since if they're doing a little of that all the time, no wonder they haven't got any fucking strength left in their arms and legs.
I can't emphasize enough how much I don't understand what human flagging has to do with having a gym for the mind. I mean, that's literally a physical endeavor doing a human flag.
I don't understand what it has to do with, you know, like, surely it's not good for professional athletes that got to do 80 minutes to basically just put that level of taxation on their shoulders. It's just not good. It's not. It doesn't seem sensible. Anyway, yeah. I just find it very funny that Bath are as bad as we expected them to be while also being very good. Because they absolutely deserved to win that game against Bristol on Friday night. And they got fucking robbed, frankly, by some...
I can't work out, you know that bit about you couldn't work
refereeing.
Out the Leicester 7-6, you can't work out what's more confusing or funny, depending on which side you look at which end of the telescope you come at. That's the Bristol Bath thing. I can't work out if it's like, this is how shit Bath are, but somehow they still contrive to lose to Bristol. Or this is how shit Bristol are, and Bath should have. You know what I mean? I'm completely up in the air about it.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like, that Max Ajomo try that got chalked off for Bath in the first half for a knock-on. Literally, there's no knock-on. Like, you cannot for the life of me find a knock-on anywhere in that. I've watched it many times and it doesn't exist. And they lost by 4 points. And they played some genuinely fucking brilliant rugby. Like, if you haven't, go and watch Will Muir's second try, complete with crossfield banana kick from Orlando Bailey, outrageous fucking knee slide pickup from Ajomo, and then a lovely off. Like, they played some genuinely like Quinn's level, like porno rugby, and yet they conceded like 3 fucking line out drive tries and were down to 13 men at one point, and were just fundamentally stupid in the second half. Instead of just letting Bristol score 1 try, they decided to get 2 men sent to the bin and let them score 2 tries. It was.
I mean, they've not lost by much in all 3 games, Bath. But I have to say, they did look better. I saw the first week and they were actually terrible, apart from about 20 minutes. They weren't so great the week after, but I do think that your point, How did they lose? But you get to sometimes you worry about a miasma of kind of failure that starts to develop around a place, don't you?
Yeah, you really do, and it's weird. They, fucking Danny Cipriani is their big fucking guy that they've signed.
Is he still out on HIA?
I guess he must be,
because he went off with a bang on the head, didn't he? Versus Sale.
Yeah, but they look much better with fucking Orlando Bailey at 10 than they did.
Nice player, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
I said this the first week. Well, I really like Will Muir.
Yeah,
really like him.
You called it last week talking about Max Ajomo as well. He looked the real fucking deal. Like, he's got everything you want a 12 to have, and he should have got a perfectly good try, but like, he was brilliant and he was everywhere.
Anna S is asking if Sam Marsh if Sam Marsh has Sam Palladio with him in his picture. Sam Palladio, of course, who was in the TV show Nashville, which I could go on a very, very big tangent about, by the way, but I'm not going to. There is a lot to unpack in the TV show Nashville. Let me tell you.
Can I just say, the final? If you haven't watched the final series of Nashville, when it moved to the Country Music Network from ABC, I tell you what, that is an absolute fucking encyclopedia entry.
WWE levels of plotting.
It's basically if you wanted to go to a dictionary and look up jumping the shark, they would have Fonzie on a fucking water skis on one side, and then they'd have the final series of Nashville on the other.
There were 15 plot changes per episode. It was unbelievable. But honestly, no, we haven't got time for this now.
Terrible.
I'm going to do a Patreon special on it because there's so much. We should go. We're going to have to do a watch along of Nashville.
A watch along with Nashville.
So mad.
Yeah. I went to see. I took because my wife is a big fan of Nashville, the TV show. Although even she was really struggling in those last few episodes. But we went to see Nashville live in the Hammersmith Apollo, which was. Who was it? It was Sam Palladino or whatever his name is. He's actually from Devon. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, he is, bizarrely.
It was the blonde
Scarlett's
girl.
Australian.
Scarlett's Australian, yeah. Deacon was
Deacon Claiborne.
Thankfully. Deacon
Claiborne. He's blatantly not the best guitarist ever, but people keep saying
no, he's not. I tell you what, I interviewed Deacon, who's
Charles Eston.
Charles Eston last year, or maybe the year before. And he was genuinely an absolute fucking delight.
I can imagine. He gives off that vibe very strongly.
I could not have enjoyed my time with him more than I did. It was just like, because he's been Charles Eston has done everything. Like, before he was in Nashville, he was like proper, jobbing actor.
He's in the Office.
He's in the Office for a couple of weeks. He's been in Star Trek. He's been in both Star Trek: Next Generation and Star Trek: Voyager. He played Buddy Holly in the West End.
We need to stop this.
He was in Whose Line Is It Anyway, wasn't he?
Yes,
he was
many moons ago.
It was like, he's such an interesting bloke, but a genuine fucking delight, and invited me around his house if I was ever in Nashville. So And
somebody's just Nashville pointed out this is us not going off on a Nashville tangent, so I'll stop.
Absolutely
now.
Not. Yeah,
but honestly,
the Nashville Patron Special is happening.
Yeah. Right. Anything else from the weekend that we want
to? Let me see. No, I think we're broadly there, aren't we?
Anything irky you want to pick out?
Not really. It was kind of not everything kind of happened as I expected to.
Everything is proceeding. As
I was pleasantly surprised with the Ospreys, being all right.
We've talked about the Dragons Leinster mad result, haven't we?
We've talked about the Dragons Leinster mad result. Everything else broadly went as expected, I think.
Oh, we haven't talked about the insanity of Benetton Edinburgh, though, have we?
Yeah, that was fucking funny. Also, where Benetton getting all these young fucking fly-offs that are quite good then?
Finally.
They've lost fucking Paolo, and, he was king of all of our hearts. And now we've got this new fucking hotness.
Young Albanoz is coming through.
I'll be honest with you, Paolo Garbisi is a much more nice name to say.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. But Well, we did say, surely it can't be long until a nation like Italy can produce some playmakers with their hands rather than their feet. Surely. It can't surely take that much longer. And they seem to be cracking a bit of it, don't they?
They do, but yeah, what's his face? Young Leonardo Marin, whatever it is, the lad who done the drop goal at the end. It was very funny. Not if you're an Edinburgh fan, obviously.
Of course.
But like,
Of course.
it was just. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get until maybe until Italy win the Six Nations or something. I'll never not enjoy Italy and Italian teams just doing things that are unexpected. And I'm afraid that's sometimes you're going to be the team that takes their lumps there, unfortunately, if you're...
Anna Seligman says, can we have a Patreon episode just on Hayden Panettiere, please? No, we'll have a Patreon episode just on the time when she goes to the cult in South America. That's what we're going to have a Patreon episode on. Anyway, right, that's enough from the weekend. Let's crack on with what we said we'd do last week. Didn't do, but we are doing this week. You may catch your minds back, everybody, that we started doing You're So Club 15.
We did. Yes.
Where we said, well, speak for themselves, people who are so unbelievably club that they just sum up what it's like to be a club player, to the point at which it's even the most club players have even got a couple of caps. That's how club they are.
Yeah.
It makes sense when you think it through.
If you've got a couple of caps, it just shows that you're a really good club player, but that you were never quite good enough.
Even better than that is a shitload of Saxons or Wolfhounds or A caps. That's
100%. Yeah.
So we've been trying to put spins. We've had a Wales one. We've had somebody's just sent a Northampton Saints one in, for Christ's sake. We've had, we've got lots of them still in the background now we can pull out. But this is one that was sent in ages ago by Jack Hurst, bless him. Hello, Jack, if you're out there. He's done a club, You're So Club, coaches exclusive edition. So people are coaches, You're So Club. So let's just go from the props onwards. Prop Boris Stankovic played for London Irish, SC Grollet, SC Alba, Leicester, Dragons, and Coventry in a 17-year career. Represented England at 19s, 21s, and is now a scrum coach. And he's assistant coach at Leicester at the time of writing, if he still is.
I mean, is scrum coach a little bit too much? Like, it's a bit too...
On the nose.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm with it.
The other prop, the Dimes, Steve Diamond.
Of course.
351 appearances for sale, called up to the 1997 tour of Argentina and Australia, but not capped. He said he might have been a hooker, though. Can't be sure. Yeah, I can't remember.
He's just Diamond, isn't he?
He might have been a back row of Diamond. I'm thinking of Pete Anglesey, who, by the way, is also in the high panting of You're So Club. Peter Anglesey.
Let's find out. Let's see what the internet thinks Steve Diamond is. I mean, you type Steve Diamond and it says former rugby union player, which is a real fucking damning indictment of his coaching career. Yeah, it seems to claim that he was a hooker.
Right. Either way, he might have swapped like John Schmidt. It's fine.
Yeah. Those days they were fucking all over the shop, weren't they?
We have got a hooker, though. None other than Mr. Warren Gatland, the Kiwi Q-boy himself. Played 17 matches for New Zealand, but none of them counted as international caps.
Honestly, it's so... How can you play 17 times but only in uncapped matches? No wonder he's always fucking grumpy.
Yes. No wonder he probably hates Sean Fitzpatrick. I mean, to be fair, you're up against it there, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
How good a player
you've got the best. Fitzpatrick? You've literally got the best fucking player of your era, like hooker of your era in front of you. Fair
140 cap appearances for Waikato, which is the record at the time. 17 caps that were all uncapped. Amazing.
Remarkable.
That could make him the most You're So Club player we've ever actually covered. Locks now. Right, topically at the minute, Stuart Hooper.
Yes.
43 appearances for Saracens, 113 for Leeds. Was the youngest ever club
Saracens.
I'd forgotten that. Youngest ever club captain at Leeds. Which just showed his character right from the beginning.
Showed his massive character.
He was entitled to walk straight into the biggest job. 177 caps for Bath, captain the Saxons in the Churchill Cup in 2009.
There it is. The Churchill fucking Cup.
And he won the Anglo-Welsh Cup.
I think if you've ever been involved in the Churchill Cup, you're instantly kind of granted access to a Yorso club level thing. A pointless trophy fielded by A teams with a horrendous sort of vaguely
You get let
colonialist
behind a
vibe to it.
velvet rope into a special lounge where they only serve Fosters on tap. He won the Anglo-Welsh Cup in 2005 as well. I mean, come on. Could there be more Yorso club
perfect
baubles hanging around his neck? The other lock, I think we've had him before when he was a player, but it's an absolutely brilliant shout. Nick Kennedy. No, we didn't have Nick Kennedy. We had his partner at London Irish for ages. Who was his partner? Anyway, I'll remember that in a minute. The second row we played, Bob Casey.
Oh, yeah.
I might have got that name wrong. Somebody correct me.
No. Yeah, Bob Casey's is a real person. I'm sure he is. He must be, surely.
He sounds like he should be. God knows.
Somewhere.
He's probably a middleweight boxer. That doesn't matter. Move on. Nick Kennedy, 217 appearances for London Irish, 27 for Toulon.
Hello.
17 for Quins. Represented England Saxons in 2 Churchill Cups.
Lovely.
Martin Johnson picked him ahead of Ben Kane, a 2008 tour squad to New Zealand. 7 caps for England. None of them remembered.
Bless him. Honestly, it's Martin Johnson era England caps are so fucking
they're amazing.
They're so deep with fucking Yorso club stuff, aren't they?
Absolute tombola of shite that just fired it out.
I mean, again, Stuart Hooper is a 2009,
of course
Martin Johnson era fucking. How many of these England players are going to have some semblance of a whiff of Martin Johnson about them?
Into the back row now. Blindside, Alex Sanderson.
Yes.
98 appearances for Sale, 8 appearances for Saracens. Won 5 caps, scoring his only try on debut as a replacement against Romania in 2001.
The big guns.
Number 7, Andy Robinson. 249 appearances for Bath, 8 for England only 8 over 7 years for England. Played 6 midweek games with the Lions in 89, never made the test team.
Damn right he didn't.
But then
that's a sort of like turbo Yorso club because he barely had he barely had an England career and yet somehow managed to end up as a fucking dirt tracker as well, which is like the sort of elite level of Yorso clubness.
Number 8, Kingsley Jones.
Had to be.
Played for deep breath. Go on.
You see that Canada barely squeezed through there against Chile last week. Don't try to tell me that guy's not fucking. He's going to be on Skype this week like nobody's business.
Played for deep breath. Cross Keys, Pontypridd, Ebervale, Gloucester, Barbarians, Worcester, Pontypridd again, Ebervale again, and Doncaster. Had 2 Wales A appearances in 95 and 2001, as well as 10 caps for Wales between 96 and 98, which, as we know, is the best Wales.
Yeah.
Just before Graham Henry turns up. It's absolutely the best Wales.
Absolute shit show.
Captaining in the final test against the Springboks. He had at some point captained every side that he played club and international level for.
Wow.
However, Jack does say, I'm not sure he was an 8, though. He wasn't an 8.
Yeah, I mean, back row at that point, who really cares?
Matter. Especially for Wales between 96 and 98. Fucking hell.
Exactly. You took Scott Quinnell and Colin Jarvis out of that fucking thing, and it was whoever's left.
Number 9, Sean Perry.
Yes.
Okay. 72 appearances for Dudley, Kings Wingsford RFC, 39 for Coventry, 57 for Bristol, 51 for Brive, 29 for Worcester, all between 2000 and 2003. Represented England Saxons, 14 caps for England between 06 and 08, being ended when he missed the 2008 Six Nations after suffering a fractured windpipe. He was a welder before his rugby career. I don't think somebody who goes to the World Cup as first choice in 2007 can be classed as a Yorso club player.
No, because the thing is, Sean Perry basically didn't have an England career until he was. But it's 2006 he made his England debut.
Yeah,
and he was gone by 2007.
He was gone halfway through that World Cup when they just said fuck off and got Andy Gomersall in for the rest of the thing.
But
Andy Gomersall,
fucking hell, yeah. But when you think about it, How old would he have been when he made his England debut? Because he was born in.
I think he was about 20. He was late 20s. Cooted as well. It made it look worse.
I'm going to find out now because I need to know this. He would have been. Yeah, he was 29 when he made his England debut. That, for me, is the absolute fucking perfect. That's perfection on the Yoso Club-ometer.
I think he had one season at Bristol.
Yeah. He was played because I remember because I sort of moved to Bristol in 2008. But my housemate Paul is a lifelong Bristol fan and was very excited that even though Bristol had been fucking shite for the entire time that I'd known him in university, they suddenly had a fucking scrum off in the England squad, and he couldn't quite. I don't think Sean Perry could believe it either. But yeah, he was in. He had a glorious year of being England's first choice 9, and then Ben Young came along.
Such high hopes when Brian Ashton took over England. Because he'd been like the attack coach in 2001 when it was like they were brains and they were fucking irresistible.
Yeah,
and he came in and picked Sean Perry and Leslie Vainicolo and Paul Saki and people like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think by then
I fucking miss England in those days. I really do.
Honestly, I've not done an analysis of this, but somebody needs to do some significant research into who is the worst world champions ever. And I'm pretty sure that England 2003 team and what happened subsequently is. Even after the 2005 Ashes as well, they were fucking shite. I reckon there's something about success in the mid-2000s for England teams.
Absolute fucking car crash of it, yeah.
So yeah, Sean Perry. I'm not so sure you can cut. But I take your points about your
29, making your international debut at 29. That's peak. You're so close.
After one promotion system, I'm sure it was a promotion season. He came up with Bristol anyway.
Yeah, it was maybe their first season back in the Prem, or maybe they were just sort of one of those seasons where they were yo-yoing. But either way, it's very funny.
Number 10, Alex King.
Yeah,
that's a good shout. 170 matches for Wasps, won 5 caps for England between 97 and 03. He was in a lot of squads as well. He was one of them he was always third choice, I think. It was one of them ones. Onto the centres, Mark McCall. That is a good shout.
Yes.
13 caps for Ireland on and off across 6 years, 92 to 98. 7% win rate, 1 out of 13, including 2 losses to Italy. Fucking hell.
Oh, see, that's the sort of trauma that turns you into one of the best club rugby coaches on the planet.
A relentless winning machine when it's somebody else's talent you're managing. Yeah. Other midfielder is Matt O'Connor. Won 1. Obviously, he's not at Leicester now, but won 1 cap against Ireland in 1994.
Great times, good days.
Wingers, Ugo Mola, 12 caps for France and scored a hat-trick against Namibia in the 1999 World Cup. Pointless caps. At least he got a cap for those caps, unlike poor Warren Gatland.
But again, what is it about? Because quite a lot. What is it about having sort of unspectacular, frustrating playing careers that turns you into a fucking shit-hot coach?
Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger played like Division 3 shit football, and then
what's Kingsley Jones's excuse? Too many caps, if anything.
He reached his level everywhere he goes, is what Kingsley Jones' excuse is. A very hard man, though, Kingsley Jones. So, I'm glad he Skypes people because it might go ugly.
I'm glad he's in Canada.
Issa Nathewa is the other wing. 185 appearances for Leinster, 54 for Auckland, 44 for the Blues, 1 Fiji cap in 2003.
Fucking baffling shit. Think how good Issa Nathewa was. And fucking
took up coaching in 2013 for the Blues as a mental skills coach. It went so well that he was back at Leinster in 2015 as a player.
Of course he was.
Which does make him your club, yeah. Jim Mallender, nearly 400 caps for Sale at fullback. 2 England caps in 1997 in Argentina.
Solid.
And the final thing that Jack says is I think we can all say that Kingsley will be captain, right? Well, yeah, he's captain every team he's ever played for.
Although I'd love to see him and Steve Diamond have a conversation about that.
Indeed. That's the end of the Yoso Club. Thank you. Thank you to everyone that sends them in. We'll be digging them out. That was very good. Yeah, you got to love these. They're a stroll down memory lane, a chance to have a bit of a laugh, and a chance to kind of wonder at some of the careers
How the fuck
that we've
something's
seen.
happened.
That is the end of that. We welcome back our non-patron listeners, although some of you non-patrons have been able to watch the video stream. I'll give you a double-handed wave. Hello. You won't get this next week. Okay, so we do shit good to finish off.
Just before we do, Willow, and friend of the pod, says that England Saxons permanently remind me of Paul Hodgson. That's how club they are.
I mean, I don't want to go into once again the
true,
Martin
though.
Johnson
It's
black
true,
hole.
though.
But Paul Hodgson was starting games for proper England. As you know, that was the time when Wilkinson was just coming back from his injury. He must have just stood and looked left and right and gone, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
With these two? What?
I'm going to get myself injured again on purpose just to get out of here. Right. So, sorry, those who didn't hear that bit, who might be listening who are non-patrons, we had a You're So Club in the patron bit, which went through a fantastic rundown of You're So Club people who are now coaches now.
Yeah.
So that,
honestly,
that's in there.
quite
Should
a
you
thing.
fancy it? Yeah. So shit good. What have you got to shit?
Shit, it's Dean Ryan accusing opposition players of feigning injuries. I mean, mate, come on.
Dean Richards, you mean?
Yeah, Dean Richards, sorry, yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't have a problem with Dean Ryan, did it?
Dean Ryan could do it all on. He's just honest as the day is long. Yeah, you don't get to make those accusations, mate, when you've been down a joke shop and had some blood capsules. Also, he shithousingly claimed that the referee that sent Tom Penny off for making contact with Jimmy Gopperth's eye on the weekend shouldn't have been assigned to this game because he was the same ref that missed Josh Bassett getting fucking his eyes rearranged by Carreras last season. And so he must have it in for them. It's like, here's an idea, Dean, just tell your players to stop sticking their fingers in other people's eyes and you will not have this problem. It's really easy. Really fucking easy.
I'm afraid my player didn't do that. I've referred to my my policeman's day book, and I wrote down that didn't happen, and it's a contemporaneous record. Therefore,
and as you can see, my conscience is totally clear.
I can't emphasise enough the fact that Dean Richards was a policeman in the 70s and 80s. Can you? That was before the Pace Act. Can you imagine some of the shit he fitted people up for? The Pace Act was in 1983. He was getting people to imagine what he got people to sign.
Honestly,
got no idea if he actually did. Caveat. Not accused.
Probably didn't. Almost certainly didn't.
However, he did do it live on television and try to diddle the whole sport. So
he did. So it's probably not a great guy.
Right.
Yes.
The PACE Act is the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, by the way, which insisted that everything has to be on tape and recorded. And funny enough, people stopped confessing almost overnight. It was incredible stuff. Something in the water. Maybe they removed lead from the fuel or something. That's what it was. It wasn't the fact everything was recorded, obviously.
Absolutely not.
Among other things, but that was one of the main changes. Anyway, okay, so what else we got? The shit. Anything? Oh, we got it. Ellis Davis gets in touch. He said, shit is locking my keys and thus all my gear in the car, so I couldn't play a gig on Friday. He said, however, good is that I meant I could watch Scarlett's match instead. Scott Williams, Sam Costello, and Xiaomi Calamafoni, all excellent. We're showing some promise. We still need some locks, though, it says here.
Standard Scarlets. I mean,
yes.
I tell you what, though. Tell you what is shit is all of the people on whatever remaining social networks that currently are still functional going, you know what? You could just talk to someone instead or read a book, get fucked. I want to doom scroll. leave us to our doom scrolling.
And you assume we're not doing that anyway.
Exactly.
I'm usually doing that while I'm watching television.
I'm doing it while I'm doing this podcast.
My wife came in the other day on Saturday. I was in the living room. I had the mute on the telly watching the Exeter game, and I had noise coming out my phone. She said, "Are you watching two games? Are you dual screening?" I said, "No, I've muted the telly and I'm listening to Inside the Black Box, the Air Crash Investigations podcast." So I had the visuals of rugby and the auditory sensation of hearing about the Concorde disaster. It as whatever year that was.
I mean, look,
honestly, you talk about living your best life, ladies and gentlemen.
You've got to stimulate both ends of that sort of mental spectrum.
She genuinely laughed out loud and left the room.
And quite right too, let's face it.
What else we got here? Shit. Ian Wallace says, shit, the last 5 minutes of Edinburgh against Benetton, a total clusterfuck. Yes, as we mentioned. He said, however, good was the first 75 minutes against Benetton. That's the spirit, Ian.
Yeah.
A good away win was almost in the bag when, everyone thought it was going to be a challenging season. So let's, I suppose, take some things where you find them. Thorv in the Red gets in touch and he says, shit is the slow motion head-on-head train crash that was Dragons versus Leinster. Still funny, though, isn't it?
I think we've covered that. I'll tell you what's shit, right?
Yeah, go on, go.
That they've decided that Moana Pacifica, the new Super Rugby team, are going to play all their home games in Auckland for the next 8 years. So this bright shining star of, growing the game in the Pacific Islands is going to just be playing in downtown Auckland for the next 8 years. The Fijians are actually playing in Fiji because, that's a good idea. But for some reason, a team that's supposed to be representing and elevating Tonga and Samoan rugby won't get to play in their in front of their home fans for 8 years.
Isn't it because Samoa have put a 7-year isolation period on COVID testing?
I mean, maybe that's it. Well, I think everybody's agreed that they're not playing in the islands for 2022, which is fair enough because things might be a bit still testy there. But after that, Fiji are like, well, fuck yeah, we've been playing in Fiji, obviously. Whereas they're like, you know what? You can just stay playing in Auckland where we can keep an eye on you and naturalise you and cap you if we need you. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Well, what have we got here? Speaking of multitasking, Phil Jones says, I'm watching The Walking Dead on Disney right now while listening to the live stream.
Oof.
That must be quite the cocktail of sounds.
I mean, especially if you got them both going, like you're not just watching one on mute or on subtitles or whatever. In which case, I'm sure the subtitles on The Walking Dead are quite strange.
Never watched it. Never
watched the first season and a half. Found it just
repetitive is what I hear.
Repetitive and also just too invested in milking the grapes of human suffering for my particular enjoyment.
Which I think will surprise a lot of people, I'll be honest.
Yeah. But I need something a bit light. I don't like depressing things.
I need something to lift me up. Imagine if he didn't watch stuff that cheered him up. What would it be like every week, everyone?
Fucking hell, honestly.
Toby Baker gets in touch. He said, shit is Nienaber had directed the water boy to harass the touch over the call that was correct anyway. Yes, as we discussed earlier, the call is largely irrelevant. It stopped sending people to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Shit. Linda Mason, hello Linda. She says, shit is Premier Sports TV's timings when you're recording a game. Only the second half of Dragons Leinster because they'd never get it right. Showed first half as a separate program on swimming. BT Sport buggers for that, especially if you want to record documentaries. Could they start like 20 minutes later than they're supposed to?
Yeah, they do.
Cuts off the end of it and stuff.
Because they basically put them in and around sort of late night live sport. They're fucking all over the shop. And you'd think that in this modern TiVo Sky Q fucking fancy world, they wouldn't just need to do it by time.
It's not Video Plus, is it? There's all time.
Exactly. It's not like I've got to fucking find the bloody number in the Radio Times and then put it into my fucking video player.
The speaking of documentaries, the new one, the Ben Zephaniah one, Football's Windrush Generation or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's called, is pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, I watched that. That's
pretty good. Ryan Spencer gets in touch. He says, shit is, well, I told Josh Gardner I don't agree with whinging about refs, but the Irk bringing a replacement for Munster versus Stormers that lives down the road from Thomond is a little bit too much. So I now owe Josh some beers, he says.
I mean, yeah, we all Pro 14 refs, mate. Welcome to the fucking party.
Yeah. Might have a new badge on it. It's still the same ref behind the badge. They do the best.
Yeah.
Should we move on to good?
I think we probably should, yeah.
I'll kick off with this one. Graham Golvin, lovely listener, Graham, long-time supporter, listener, contributor, says, I don't know what's up with Facebook. It's broken, Graham. He says, but I want to selfishly put my good in the mix, so I'm posting it here. So he sent me a Patreon message. He said, unbelievably good. The birth of our second daughter, Cora Elizabeth Golvin, on Saturday, the 2nd of October, so this weekend, at a whopping £9.13. Christ almighty. Your poor wife. I hope she's doing okay. Said clearly Cora's going to be following her dad in front row duties. Yes, absolutely. He did give some more details about the fact that it's miscarriage month in October, and they've had some difficult times in between the first daughter, Ailey, and Cora being born. So it's wonderful news for them. So
indeed,
everyone give a lot of love that way, and congratulations to all of you. And so that's Graham, Fiona, Ailey, sorry. So slipped into me non-Scottish pronunciation there. Ailey and Cora. Lovely name as well.
Indeed.
A lovely name, Cora.
Indeed.
Any goods from you, Josh?
Tell you what, RG Snyman giving Munster fans what they've been waiting for with that. I mean, it's hard not to enjoy any player coming back from a bad injury and showing, the fans of the club what they've been missing. Hello, Gareth Anscombe, I love you. But honestly, watching that big Safalock take the ball like it's a loaf of bread, whirl it pirouetting through the whole Stormers defence like a fucking basketball player in the post, and then just slamming it. Honestly, just great. That's the things that you love about rugby. It's a giant man doing that is absolutely up there.
Yeah, and see, I think he's missed a trick because he's a glorious specimen of a man and everything else. But I think he needs to play his mishap from last week into his brand and somehow find a way of setting himself on fire while he's playing. So imagine all that while aflame.
Indeed. And you notice he's cut his hair quite a bit and his beard now. I can only assume that that's a sort of cautionary measure.
Yes. It won't go near a candle or anything anymore. Yeah, thank you very much. Simon O'Keefe gets in touch. He says, good. Is Brock Harris of the Stormers playing the longest con in rugby history by playing for Dragons for 7 years to trick Munster into thinking that he's shite? Very good. Comrade Sporty agrees with you, Josh. He says, good is RG Snyman tormenting his countrymen, and we will see a lot more of this in the Irk. Yes.
I think we will.
Dan Shears says, good was the last minute of Tigers versus Sarries, but shit was the preceding 80 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, shit is that Facebook seems to have fallen over worse than Ali Crossdale versus Carl Ferns. Ferns is quite the shit out on the quiet, isn't he? Not as a player, but remember how shitty he was about Burgess we left Bath as well.
Yeah.
Well, he's a scouser, and there's something wonderfully shit out scouse about Carl Ferns.
He got chippy as fuck about Carl Sinclair's man of the match interview after the Bristol Bath game, on which I'll level with you was once again a really fucking weird interview from Carl Sinclair at the end of a game where he shouts out his guru again. And bizarre. I mean, if it fucking works for you, mate,
do you remember when we were doing those very not very long, short feature on doing like daft stories about players that we made up?
Yes.
And I did one about Carl Ferns, and I can't remember what it was, right? I can't remember what it was. But I know that somebody who he knows, he contacted Carl Ferns, contacted this guy and said, do they think I'm thick or something? They're taking the piss. Like, no, it's just, I've just invented a stupid character and called it Carl Ferns, basically. I can't remember what it was now. But I remember being texted saying Carl Ferns is a bit pissed off. I was like, for fuck's sake.
Fucking hell.
But it's a risky take. He's trying to be funny in the internet world.
Yeah, and it doesn't strike me that Carl Ferns is unreconstructed enough that he gives very short shrift to Carl Sinclair and his guru. But
yes.
it is just.
That
whole interview was so weird, where he was just talking about how, basically, he came back from Lions duty a couple of weeks early. And he was talking about it like he'd fucking run a marathon or climbed Everest or something, or like he fucking lopped out a kidney and gave it to Stephen Luatua for lunch. It's like, all right, mate, like fair play to you. You came back a bit early from your Lions tour duty, but let's not fucking lose our heads here.
Robert Haggett says, didn't Carl
Yes,
Ferns
he
punch
did.
Bit? Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Yes.
he did.
Carl Ferns did punch Gavin Henson. Yes, it's one of the most famous things. What else we got here then? Adam Fletcher says, good. The Springboks, what an epic game. Very good. And also, Lukanya Adams behind the back pass. Yes. Adam signs off here by saying, I'll never forget it.
I mean,
it's quite a lovely way to sign off. I'll never forget that.
I mean, it's true though. Yeah, I never will either.
Phil Jones says, finally, good. The look on Ellis Genji's face at full time at Welford Road on Saturday afternoon. But even better than that was a look on Mr. and Mrs. Ray's face at the same time.
He's definitely enjoying being,
isn't he?
Captain Angry.
It's made him worse, which is simultaneously made him better.
It's
hard to explain, but yeah.
100%.
Have you got any more good? There were lots more goods given on Twitter, on Facebook, but as I've already told you, I was too busy being enraged about birthday party prizes to pull them together properly. So prices, not prizes. You got anything else before we sign off?
I was just going to, I was shouting about earlier, but yeah, Max Agermo, real deal.
And that's us, everybody. I hope all of you people who don't normally join have enjoyed this. More of the same next week if you want to join as a patron. And hopefully Facebook will be working again at some point.
Internet shutdown 2021 happens. Do you know that Twitter are so smug about this that they've already got a hashtag with one of those little emojis at the end of it for internet shutdown? That is currently. I mean, that is some smug shit.
When I worked for a large company once, we lost an entire day of trading when I was in the private sector because every computer system went down in the Cardiff office, and basically they discovered it's called they daisy chained a load of servers in the comms room, and somebody had kicked the plug out the wall or something. It was so I reckon it could be something as stupid as that.
Yeah, I mean, I worked at a company once, and they were too tight to actually buy a server, so they just had a Mac Pro that was like on the floor in one of the rooms of the office, and regularly we'd lose server access. And it would be because Sarah has kicked the power lead out of the server computer again. And it was always Sarah. And
bloody Sarah.
Honestly.
Right, we're done. Thank you, everybody. We'll speak to you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.